Welcome to episode 112 of my Dissecta Member, My Scattered Thoughts. I call them mine, but they really aren't mine. They're fragments that have been extracted from deep recesses in my memory sometimes, things I've read elsewhere, seen elsewhere, especially from the church's tradition and the fathers and so on. And one example that I'll give today, and this was I was reminded of this because in the Divine Office of Readings, which I recommend that you, from time to time, if you're not a priest or religious who's obliged to do it all the time, you have a copy of the Divine Office, the Liturgy of the Hours, with the Office of Readings, not the one volume, but the 3 or 4 volume one, because the second reading for every Office of Readings or Matins uh, is patristic. And there's so much rich nourishment there. And recently we had a couple of passages from Gregory of Nyssa. He was a 4th century father, doctor of the church and saint. And he wrote an essay or a text called On Christian Perfection. And it's so beautiful and so simple and so true that you read it and you feel this fraternity, you feel this unity, this community across the centuries. But here's what he said. First, he looks at the titles of Christ, and he goes to St. Paul especially and says, Christ is um, our salvation. He's our wisdom. He's our freedom and so on. He's our holiness. Uh, he's the source of our life. He's the head of the church. He gives examples of the titles of Christ. Uh, because he asks the question, what is Christ? Not who is, what is he? And these titles tell us what Christ is. Well, if we're going to be called Christians after the Christ, then we should somehow mirror what's in his titles. So Gregory of Nyssa takes these titles and expounds upon them a bit and says, okay, now in our lives, we have to somehow reproduce that. And then the second part is, well, what is human life after all? We have thoughts, and we have words, and we have deeds. And our thoughts in our mind are expressed in the words that we use. And then our deeds are the fulfillment of our thoughts. We do what we decide to do, what our mind tells us we should do, what we express in our words, what we want to do. And so thought, word, and you remember in the before Mass, we ask for pardon for what our thoughts, our words, what we've done and what we failed to do. So this is a little jewel from Gregory of Nyssa from the 4th century that meditate on the titles of Christ, what Christ is. We are Christians, take our name from Christ, and we therefore should be representing Christ in our own lives, embodying Christ, making our lives Christ-like. It's so beautiful, it's so simple, and I must say, if you go to the Office of Readings itself, this will be for the 12th week of the year. I think it'll be the 12th week, maybe the 11th week. Um, uh, Office of Readings Matins. You'll find this beautiful, succinct expression of what Christian perfection is. Christian perfection. The Christian lives the life which Christ lived for us, as expressed in his thoughts, which we know by his words and by his deeds.